Start with this, yeah! So hello, I'm Patrick Chanezon. We are today at the Hi5 OpenSocial Hackathon, and here we have Jian from RockYou and Greenstein from Flixster. And I'm going to ask you guys a few questions. So can you explain who you are and what your companies are doing?
Sure. I'm Jian from RockYou. I'm the CTO and co-founder. We're pretty much one of the biggest application and widget developers on social networks today, with kind of like double-digit penetration on Hi5, Bebo, MySpace, Facebook. You may have seen some of our applications like Superwall, HugMe, Likeness. We're doing for slideshows and that kind of stuff too.
I'm Greenstein. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Flixster. Flixster is basically a social movie website. Rate movies, share with your friends, find other people with similar movie taste, and generally sort of geek out around your love of movies. We are also one of the larger application developers on several platforms. Our Flixster.com site is the double-digit millions of users. We're I think the fourth largest application on Facebook at the moment, one of the largest applications on Bebo, and we are, along with everyone else, now 3 days old on MySpace.
Cool. So both of you guys were present in our Trusted Testers program before OpenSocial became public. And you were part of the launch events, and your applications were demoed there. Can you tell us a little bit what do you think about the evolution of OpenSocial since November?
OpenSocial has actually come a long way. So like basically the launch in November was really about kind of talking about the specification. What's actually come out in the last, literally like in the last 2 weeks, is actually the concept of actual implementation. So actual social networks have gone live with that API that allows to build stuff. Orchid launched at the beginning of this month. MySpace has gone on since, and we're really looking forward to the Hi5 one, which is actually the first real launch that has like it's going to open up to a large user base, along with a lot of interesting channels to allow users to actually grow and install the application.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would say the other piece that's really exciting is just the momentum that Google's been able to build around OpenSocial. The number of partners that are getting on board seems to increase every day. So now, we're really able to, as we look across the landscape, invest a tremendous amount in our OpenSocial initiative, and know, with that one effort, that we are very quickly able to be live on Orchid, Hi5, and MySpace right now. And I hear rumors of other large companies adopting it as well. So we're really excited about that, and sort of proving out for us as a small company, the ROI of the investment in the technology is really important. So the fact that we can build one front-end has been great.
Excellent. Regarding the OpenSocial API itself, what do you like in it, and what are your pet peeves? What do you think should be improved, or what is it lacking?
I think that one thing is it's definitely a specification, just like HTML is a specification for two different browsers. Implementation is just slightly different. I think it's really cool that it actually is very strongly centered around JavaScript. It allows for a lot of interesting flexibility. It's actually already designed with a lot of cross-site scripting rules, and kind of like jail domain and security stuff built into it. And so allows you to do a lot more dynamic stuff in a profile, as well as on these canvas pages that in kind of like others more static type of implementations might actually be more constraining.
Right. I think the dynamic abilities within user profile pages are the most exciting sort of opportunity for application creativity that we've been playing with. Just as Josh said, just the fact that like so much of security model is solved, and from a business perspective, that lets people adopt it quickly and get up and running, so our application can work within their platform. It's the best thing. I think we are very excited about the server-to-server APIs and being able to do more stuff that is centrally coordinated across applications and with our destination website. So we think when the servers can talk to each other about who you are and who your friends are, that will really hit the social infrastructure of the web.
Yeah, so about that, there has been a proposal 2 weeks ago in the Google groups dedicated to the spec discussion for the REST API.
Yep.
And for those of you who are listening to this, if you're interested in this, please go comment in the Google group. Another question would be for a developer who is starting with building social applications. What kind of advice would you have for them?
Definitely start with a very simple model. What you want to do is first, the way that we go and design stuff initially is if you think about the page itself. Like let's say you have profile or canvas, you actually come up with a very static template for how you want data first, and then work with the APIs to actually dynamically fill out those individual areas. That would be just kind of like the first really basic structure for you to kind of develop your first application.
Pretty good. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my advice would be sort of the usual, like, just try to start with, you know, what you're trying, the experience you're trying to create for the user. I think a lot of people with, you know, new technology like OpenSocial, the immediate thing is you look at all the new things you can do and you ask yourself, how do I make use of these? And it's easy to get lost in that for 6 months or a year and stop even thinking about, you know, what is the user actually trying to do, and then how does this technology actually apply to that? So, you know, try to think of something fun or useful or interesting for the user that, you know, that maybe is a little bit different, and then, you know, and I guess the other piece of advice would be, that's where, once you have that idea, once you know what you're trying to do, that's when really getting into the details of the technology and what you can do and how you can use it, and how you can apply it to create a great experience, I think matters. Absolutely, you know, lots of people use these things, but I think very few people take sort of full advantage of the kinds of things that you can do.
Cool. One last question would be, where do you see social software going in the next year?
Definitely things are kind of starting off in a very basic realm. I think that the kind of like two parts actually, because you have to pay attention to what each individual social network actually represents and how people use it. And so depending on the social networks that actually implement things like OpenSocial, the applications that are going to actually build on top of them will really reflect the same type of personality that the network itself actually was. So Facebook itself is definitely social, but has a little bit more kind of like closer to home where you actually interacting with friends that you know, whereas sites like MySpace and Hi5 are really more about social networks that are, you know, you're friending people that you don't know. So it's a lot more social, a lot more kind of like hanging out, trying to meet new people. So the applications related to that are very interesting. You know, definitely looking forward to see what other implementations of OpenSocial might look like. For instance, LinkedIn is very interesting, as well as other more business-oriented type of social graphs, where this type of stuff might be built on top.
Cool. Joe?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that I see happening is that, you know, sort of the early versions of all this social software have been very silent. Like, okay, Facebook.com is now a social environment, and you can build things in Facebook.com. And guess what? Now MySpace is a social environment. You can build things in MySpace. And I think the social web is going to become a lot more distributed. You're going to start to see, you know, applications that don't have to live within one particular area, but still interact with your social graph from that area, the communication channels in that area. And I think a lot of it will start to see the integration of the social web back to people with destination websites, you know, where, you know, you're building a brand and you're building a service that people know about, but it's still connected to the social context and communication channels.
Excellent. Hey, thanks very much, guys, for the interview.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for OpenSocial.
Hey, bye, guys.